The start of another routine voyage. Destination, the northern fishing grounds. The object, to catch, preserve and land some 12,000 pounds worth of high-quality white fish. Immediately ahead lie 5 days of steaming to reach the fishing ground. This is a time of preparation. Nets to be got ready, meals to be prepared, cowhides to be fixed to the cod end to prevent chafing. The crew has to be fed. Day and night, the trawler steams at 15 knots. Up the east coast, through the Pentland Firth. Now we begin to feel the Atlantic. Usually, we travel alone, but now and then we meet another trawler. The wireless operator passes the time of day with her. On we go, until in the distance, the coastline of Iceland. Trawl over the side. Stores away. The messenger has brought forward and stern warps together in the block. Now the trawl is down and towing well. The skipper keeps his ship over the bank where he hopes to find fish. A constant watch on the depth sounder, for the ship's course must follow the unseen contours of the seabed. No, it's just a matter of waiting. A final check on the sounder and on the clock. Out goes the block. The winches start to haul in the 200 fathoms or so of heavy cable. Forward doors up. Rear Danlino. Here comes the cod end. Not bad, not good, but our first haul. Gutting, washing, bulk stowing. The first fish is aboard and stowed. Now it is in prime condition. But fishing will continue for 10 days or so. After that, there will be 5 days of steaming home before the catch can be landed and auctioned. What will its condition be like then? To answer this question, we must understand why fish decay. Basically, there are two main, and to some extent overlapping, causes of spoilage. The gut of a fish contains digestive juices, which break down and dissolve the fish's food. During life, there is a natural mechanism which prevents these juices attacking the flesh of the fish itself. But the moment the fish dies, this mechanism stops working. The digestive juices in the gut begin to attack, and in effect, to digest the fish itself. This action begins within minutes of the death of the fish, and very soon results in a softening of the stomach walls, and this in turn starts off the second of the two main processes which decompose dead fish. Like all other living things, fish act as hosts to minute organisms called bacteria. These have an independent life of their own, and they go on living after the fish is dead. Bacteria, like this greatly enlarged one, are found on the skin, in the gills, and to an even greater extent, in the gut of the fish. They are not found in the flesh of the living fish, but like the digestive juices, once the fish dies, bacteria begin to attack the flesh and break it down. Now we see two main enemies, digestive juices and bacteria, attacking the fish. The juices soften and dissolve the flesh, making an entry point for bacteria from the gut to continue the work of breaking down and spoiling the fish. In addition, any wound accidentally caused to the skin of the dead fish will allow bacteria to enter more easily and will accelerate spoilage. There is one other thing which has a direct bearing on the speed at which dead fish decay: temperature. It affects the action of both the digestive juices and of bacteria. In the case of the latter, through a microscope, one could see the effects of temperature on bacteria. This is how they look in a fish kept well below freezing point. But as the temperature rises, now it is about the melting point of ice, so the bacteria start to become active. The fish is still quite cold. In fact, at the average temperature of Arctic seawater, about 4 degrees above freezing. Notice how active the bacteria have become. You might think the best way to preserve newly caught fish would be to cool it to a few degrees below freezing point, where the bacteria are relatively inactive. Unfortunately, if you freeze fish in an ordinary domestic refrigerator, that is, bring it down very slowly to some 6 or 7 degrees below freezing point, when you cook it, you will find the flesh has become dry and tasteless. This does not apply to what is known as deep freezing, but to be fully effective, deep freezing must be done at sea in specially equipped vessels. Incidentally, this is a taste panel carrying out one of its routine tests for freshness at Torrey Research Station in Aberdeen. Under present-day conditions in the industry, the best practical compromise short of freezing at sea has been found to be packing the fish in crushed ice. Ice keeps the fish cool and slows down the growth of bacteria. At the same time, its moisture helps to prevent drying, with the consequent loss of weight and flavor. But it must be remembered that this method is a compromise. Fish will not keep indefinitely in melting ice. After about 12 days, typical signs of decay will appear. Sunken eyes, the formation of yellow slime, indicating a considerable concentration of bacteria, muddy-colored gills, a general softening of the stomach walls, where both bacteria and digestive juices have attacked the flesh. Let us see, then, how we can combat the main causes of spoilage. First, digestive juices. Since these are largely contained in the gut, this should be removed as soon as possible after the fish is caught. Double naping helps to ensure that all the gut is removed. There is no point in taking juice-bearing gut from one fish and then allowing it to come in contact with the rest of the catch. Gut should be placed in a separate container away from other fish. Thorough washing will help to remove any gut and digestive juices left behind after gutting. Now for the second enemy, bacteria. Gutting will remove some, and thorough washing will get rid of more. But since warmth increases the activity of bacteria, and since bacteria will enter the flesh through any wound, the defense against bacteria lies in careful handling and in getting the fish into ice as soon as possible after it is caught. In principle, that's all there is to holding the catch. Gutting, washing, care and chilling. But in practice, under conditions like these, it may not be so easy. Even at sea, in heavy weather conditions, it ought to be possible to bring practice a little more in line with principle. Let's look again at a real trawl and see some of the things that can go wrong and how we can put them right. When the fish is really coming, it may be impossible to avoid some damage, but kicking fish about can never do them any good. It mustn't be forgotten that wounds make an entry place for bacteria. When gutting is in progress, speed is essential, but speed should not mean carelessness. Remember, every bit of gut left behind will contain digestive juices and bacteria that will attack the flesh. Gut removed from fish remains active for a long time. It will contaminate any other fish it comes in contact with. A little extra care will make a world of difference to keeping quality, and that means money. Sometimes, nets will be damaged during the trawl. Naturally, they will be mended at once and got over the side as soon as possible if it's a short job. But if it's a long job, this could mean leaving ungutted fish on deck for some hours. Even under Arctic conditions, the temperature of fish rises considerably if it is left on deck. Remember, warmth makes bacteria active. So the golden rule is gut the fish and stow it as quick as you can. All too often, fish can be damaged when it is thrown carelessly into the washer. Wounding and bruising create conditions in which bacteria can do their damaging work. Although the period that fish remains on deck is a very vulnerable one, it is, after all, a minute proportion of the time fish is on board the trawler. Most of the time, it will be lying below decks in ice. Fresh ice will have to be taken on board before the trawler leaves her berth. Sometimes, particularly if the trawler has been on a short trip, all the ice will not have been used. But, however wasteful it may seem, it's a bad practice to start a fresh trip without fresh ice. Patches like this are sometimes to be seen on ice left over from a previous trip. This indicates the presence of bacteria which can live even at ice temperature. They will soon breed and multiply if they come in contact with fresh caught fish. Dirty pound boards, too, are a potent source of infection. No ship should go to sea without a thorough cleaning of the fish room. The care of the fish once aboard is the responsibility of the mate. But it is important to all the crew, for the price obtained for the catch depends on quality as well as quantity. Careful logging of the position of each haul will help to see that the bobbers, when they unload, do not mix up early and late caught fish. Another haul comes aboard. But finding and catching are only half the battle. The other half, holding the catch, depends on three things. The 3 C's, if you like: cleanliness, care, and cooling. Cleanliness on deck and below, thorough washing of the fish themselves, care to gut thoroughly, care to keep gut from the rest of the catch. Above all, cooling. The importance of keeping a thick layer of ice on the seaward side of the fish room. Even Arctic water is usually well above ice temperature. The use of plenty of ice cannot be overemphasized. In this respect, the practice of shelving is not really to be recommended. Admittedly, it is usually only done with the last caught fish, but the fact that the belly alone is in contact with ice can mean that whatever they may look like, shelved fish are usually of poorer quality than earlier caught shallow bulk fish. If the 3 C's are remembered, care, cleanliness, and above all, cooling, it will mean that at the end of the trip, the unloading will result in a well-kept and profitable catch.